What's going on? Welcome back to the party. Today's episode breaking down the best, the worst stretches of the Vikings 2025 schedule.
Is it me? I can't tell. I'm tweeting a link right now. Okay, great. Hey, don't make if you delete your schedule release video, you don't have a schedule. This is Arifas on the White Left Substack.
And I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings, hoping my intro goes better than Arif's did.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Arif Hassan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talk's Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota Football Party. And it starts now.
What's going on? Welcome back to the party in the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. Fantastic lineup for you guys today. The Vikings 2025 schedule is officially here, breaking it all down, top to bottom, inside and out, best and worst stretches on the schedule. We're picking some of the biggest upsets, plus Ron Johnson stopping by a little later as well. All that and plenty more. Remember, you can always find all our episodes right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network, all the audio wherever you find your podcast. But before we get into all that, quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, right now, new customers, you're getting $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Go check it all out over at FanDuel.com today. All right, I can't wait to go through this 2025 schedule. Unveiled last night, obviously. Let's just take a step back. Let's start big picture here. When you guys finally saw the full slate, right? Top to bottom, you let the dust settle, you let it kind of all sink in. What was your just biggest topic that kind of stuck out the most when you looked at it? Like, what was the first thing or one big thing that jumped out to you the most when you looked at this thing top to bottom?
If we're talking literally first thing, it was pretty inconsequential, which was, they play the whole Rust Belt slate really early on. Not that useful of an insight. I was like,
first thought.
I was just like, hey, they got Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh all kind of wrapped up right there. That's crazy.
Let's go.
But I think that in terms of something meaningful, the first thing that pops up is the post-bye slate is pretty tough. It's pretty tough. So the Vikings have by win percentage or whatever other measure you want to use, like something like the fifth most difficult schedule, which I found kind of surprising. It looked like a tough schedule, but not like one of the toughest schedules. But I guess maybe schedules this year are distributed a little bit more evenly. I don't know. Either way, that stretch right after the bye where you've got the Eagles coming straight off the bye, and then you've got the Ravens somewhere in there. You've got, I think the Commanders are a little bit further back, but it is like a pretty difficult look.
Eagles,
just what's happening there.
A short week, Thursday night football, Chargers, West Coast
Chargers
trip.
Yeah, Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Amazon Prime. And then at
Detroit. Yeah,
important that game's going to be. Now, granted, you get a couple extra days rest and time to prepare, which is nice. But then after that Lions game, the Ravens at home, Lamar Jackson, and then two more divisional games, Bears at home, at Green Bay. So, that gauntlet right there, man, coming out of the bye. After you just went overseas for back-to-back weeks, granted, again, you get the bye in there. But, that's a tough slate. And it makes sense, and we talked about this too. So many high-profile teams, high-profile quarterbacks. It kind of makes sense when you hear that the strength of the schedule is like the fifth toughest for sure. All the NFC North teams, though, are in that bottom 7, 8-ish, right? I think the Lions were fourth toughest, I want to say. Packers not far ahead, and then Bears a couple games easier, but still in the bottom 10 as far as just strength of schedule goes for sure. Yeah, it's a gauntlet coming out of that bye starting October 19th versus Philly. Luke, kind of just initial reaction. What was your kind of topic, first thing that kind of came to mind?
The first thing that popped into my head is that 7 of these games will be nationally televised, and 4 of the first 5 will be nationally televised. You have a quarterback starting his first 5 games if there are any like growing pains or hiccups right off the bat, that will set the narrative for him for years for people, even if those problems get ironed out after the bye in, over the course of his rookie year. If he throws a couple interceptions, people are going to post that clip to you incessantly. Get ready for it.
Okay. It's almost like throwing the entire kitchen sink at JJ McCarthy to start his career. And then from there, it should only get a little bit easier as far as the logistics week to week goes. Now, again, we just talked about how tough the actual schedule is coming out of that bye and whatnot. But you're right, like 4 primetime or 4 nationally televised games of your first 5 weeks. That's just it's like getting in the batting cage and going in the 90-mile-per-hour one right away. And it's like, okay, that's impossible. Now let me go back to what actually I'm going to be facing more weeks than not. Let me go to that 65-mile-an-hour cage. Okay, this is more of my bread and butter, right?
Yeah, those aren't the hardest teams on the schedule, though.
No, they're not. Chicago, no, you're absolutely right. They are not.
Chicago,
they are
Cleveland.
Not.
It's situationally the most
situationally maybe,
but it's just a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So you've got obviously, like you mentioned, like the national, including the primetime games. You've got the Vikings opening by going to Soldier Field, an area where we talk about how difficult it has been for the Vikings to play there. I think recently that's not really been the case, but we've got kind of that mental block of like playing at Soldier Field, and that's how you're starting the season, right? And then you go international, and I don't know, like you've got like these primetime games, you've got these situations where it feels like, I'm not saying the Vikings are like set up to fail, but they're set up to have adversity. I don't know how else to put it. And then coming off the bye, you've got that Eagles game, which it kind of sucks that you've got the bye to a Sunday game and then you go right to a Thursday game. It'd be really nice if you could go from the bye into the Thursday game, but it's how it is.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean, it's showtime. Like, that was my first thought. Like, NFL wants to see JJ McCarthy, KOC, Justin Jefferson under the bright lights on primetime. JJ McCarthy's first, not 1, but 2 professional games of his career are a Monday night football game and a Sunday night football game. Has that ever happened before? Like 4 primetime games right out the gate, and then 2 more games overseas nationally. And you also play on Christmas Day as well. So 7 games. You're right, Luke, 7 games where you're the only team playing in the NFL, you and your opponent, obviously. All eyes on you, kind of front and center around the entire country watching you. The JJ versus Harbaugh showdown on Thursday Night Football, that's going to be loaded with a bunch of good storylines. On a short week, though, again, traveling to the West Coast in LA, it's a big boy lineup, man, for the team, for the players, for the coaches, and for the fans as well. Like the NFL, feels like the NFL picked your team between the 2 overseas games, first time it's ever happened to a team in NFL history, and then all these other primetime games. It's like the NFL picked the Vikes to put on the national stage time and time again with your new quarterback and all the new toys you brought in this offseason. A lot of excitement about the roster, obviously, as well. And then we haven't even mentioned getting Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and the Super Bowl champs in your building as well. So excited to see kind of how it all shakes out. I think win or lose week to week, we're in for a lot of build up week to week, anticipation, all the national media, all the afternoon ESPN shows. I mean, you're going to hear about the Vikings, I feel like, in their matchups week to week quite a bit. Here's another angle I don't think a lot of people really thought about too, because why would you? The poor beat writers this year. Again, 4 of your first 5 games are non-noon games, 7 non-noon games total. Your trip to LA is earlier, a little bit earlier, as opposed to getting to fly out to California like late November, December, which is kind of what you hope for. Your road
you get December Dallas,
November, except for Dallas. Correct. Yep, you're right.
You get December Green Bay, but that will keep you up past your bedtime. So
that's going to keep. Yep, you're right. I mean, the road schedule. To your point here, look, the road schedule in November and December outside of the Dallas, right, Jerry's World, kind of terrible, not fun, great weather spots. Green Bay, Seattle. Dallas is fine, obviously, and then New Jersey as well. That's just kind of gross. And then again, you got plans on Christmas? Think again, man. Cancel them. You're working, my friend. Christmas Day on Netflix versus the Lions, no less. Like, don't even think about
frustrating Lions loss on Christmas for everyone to talk to their dads about.
Dude,
like,
wonderful,
dude. Yeah. Don't even think about. Yeah, 'tis the season. But don't even think about using that that PTO or your sick day, because that's one of the biggest games on the schedule. So these beat writers, man, Alec Lewis, Ben Gessling, Andrew Kramer, all these guys, those guys had to be bumming a little bit behind the scenes, back of their head, because that's a tough lineup too, logistic wise, with not many breaks. What's kind of the peak in the pit of the schedule? Best stretch, worst stretch? Kind of already touched on the worst stretch, I guess. But as far as like best stretch for the players go, maybe the worst case, short rest, long travel, just brutal opponents, best and worst stretches, I guess, at first glance. What did you guys think?
Yeah, so after this brutal like Philly, Chargers, Baltimore stretch, you go at Green Bay, at Seattle, at home versus Jaden Daniels, at Dallas, at New York. 4 of 5 on the road in November, December. That's just going to be brutal, even though none of them.
I don't know that there is a best stretch. Yeah, like looking at this, there's no breaks.
Like, the matchups in the beginning are great, but then you've got this big international trip and night games, and like so that kind of makes it hard.
Right.
So it's all kind of spread out.
Yeah, so it's just going to be an onerous schedule. Like whether or not it's difficult, which we know based off of what we can tell from opponent strength of schedule, which is not like locked in stone. Teams surprise us all the time, but we know that it's supposed to be a difficult schedule just in terms of the opponents, but just in terms of the logistics, it's an onerous, a lot of effort, right? Put into what the players have to do with like constant travel after a difficult spread of games at home, with like the international stuff. You finish with obviously the 2 division games that are difficult. So I don't know. Like I don't know that there is a best stretch. It's just all tough.
Yeah, well, I okay. If I really had to dig deep for like the best stretch, I'm thinking later in the season. I personally don't think Seattle's going to be that great this year. Vastly improved. Week 13, maybe Seattle's starting to wear down a little bit. You got Washington at home. Maybe Dak Prescott's hurt again by week 15. The Giants should be out of it. Their quarterback shuffle by week 16, whether it's Jameis or Russell's on the bench by now, Jackson Dart. And then at least after that, you get the 2 most important games, which, as we all have seen year after year, like playoff implications are going to be on the line, week 17 and 18, Lions, Packers. At least you get both those at home too, which is pretty huge. But again, like I got to dig deep for that. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of what ifs in all those categories as well, it feels like. So yeah, not a ton of just, here's a 2, 3, 4 game stretch where, all right, you should be able to at least feel confident about going like a 3-1 there or something like that. It's just, it's week after week. It definitely gets tough. Give me one upset. Give me one upset you're calling for the Vikes, for good or bad. Maybe we'll do both. Of the 17 games, again, the Vikings are only favored in, let's count them up, 7. So 17 games, they're only favored in 7 of them, which is kind of wild, I guess. When you look at the Super Bowl odds right now, if you just go off that, they play 6 teams that are in the top 8 in the Super Bowl odds. They only play 2 teams that are in the bottom 8 of Super Bowl odds. So anyway, give me one upset you're calling out right now for good, and maybe one upset you're calling out for bad. If the Vikes get stunned by a team that on paper they definitely should have won.
I'll say that they will upset the Eagles, and there's 2 reasons for that. Obviously, the Vikings are coming off the bye, but the Eagles are coming off a Thursday night game against the Giants heading into that. So they've got a relatively short week against a weak opponent, but still a relatively short week. And I think the Vikings coming off that bye, that's going to be a good situation. So, no, Luke, you're right to have that phase. That's a 10-day stretch, not a 4-day stretch.
Yeah, mini bye.
Yeah, it's a mini bye.
Versus a whole bye.
Yeah, either way, the Vikings coming off of a bye, I think that's going to give them a little bit of an advantage. As for who will upset the Vikings, that one's tough because there's just not that many opponents that I'm that concerned about. Let's go with week 1. Make the season.
Oh, there you go.
tasty.
Messy Monday night loss.
Actually like that.
Caleb Williams, JJ
Like
McCarthy,
that.
2024 draft picks go hard.
Ben Johnson's first game now, head coach, and I actually like that a lot. And I actually wrote down the Eagles as well. At home, week 7, again, coming out of your bye, rested up, should have a little bit of extra prep over Philly, even though they're on that short mini bye. Philly coming off the Super Bowl, I always think about possible Super Bowl hangovers, especially in the first half of the season. Some of those teams start a little bit slower. You catch them in week 7 at home, coming off your bye. I like that as their possible upset for sure as well. I like that a lot more than Lamar or I don't even know what the spread is right now for the Joe Burrow game. Bengals at home. Maybe you probably should be favored in that, but nonetheless, I like Philly.
In that, yeah.
I like Philly for sure. I'm surprised they're favored to go into Dallas right now by 1.5 points on Sunday Night Football and win. Late in the season, Week 14, so much
Market's
can happen
low on
and will
Dallas.
happen, but
Dallas is like third worst in the NFC for Super Bowl odds. They're seen as one of the lowest teams right now.
Worst in the NFC?
Yeah,
well, part of
they're low on
the
Dallas.
division that they're in, of course, right? Like part of it's the division they're in.
Yeah, you got to play Philly twice. You got to play Washington twice.
Just a lot of bad vibes over there.
But yeah, it's not looking great.
Holy smokes.
How about this? What if they do go into that Dallas game? You know, maybe win a Sunday night thriller in Dallas like they did a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then, a couple weeks after that, you've got Detroit, Christmas, probably division odds on the line there.
Yeah.
But first, you got to go into the Meadowlands, into a cold, sloppy New York team that probably has nothing to play for.
Yep.
That game is so trap coded.
It's so true, though.
Probably the worst team on the schedule, but boy, if you want to see an upset, how about coming off of prime time and then you've got Detroit on the horizon and you can overlook this eliminated New York team? That feels like the stupid Devin Aromashadu style game that a good Vikings team would drop.
You're forced like 2-3 turnovers off Jackson Dart, but you're only up 3 points at halftime. They put in Jameis Winston.
Jameis on the goal line.
Comes, plays YOLO ball, and all of a sudden, Jameis makes a couple ridiculous throws. Josh Metellus trips or something in coverage. Remember the Washington deep bomb? I forget. I don't think it was Scary Terry that caught the touchdown or the deep pass, but Harrison Smith and like a ref or somebody else, Cam Bynum.
Oh, yeah. That was the Kirk Chains game, the original.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. No, I'm with you. That definitely feels like a potential trap game for sure. What about Arif? You brought this up yesterday. What about the best stretch for Jordan Addison to get potentially suspended? I guess I would assume it would happen right out the gate, like weeks 1, 2, and 3. But if it didn't, I guess
so. It really depends.
When's your ideal kind of stretch?
He's got a court date set, I think, this month? ?
Okay.
But that court date is not like the court date, right? I think it's to schedule.
Schedule a date to schedule the date.
Yeah. I think it's a schedule the date to schedule the date. Like I think it's a scheduling for scheduling hearing.
Cool.
So right, yeah. So we might not get any sentencing until like right before or during the season, right? And if it happens during the season, what's likely to happen is that the suspension comes after that gets announced rather than before at the beginning of the season. So, Kevin Seifert posted about that date. That's great. I'm glad that
June
I screwed
16th.
that up. Okay. But we don't know that that's like the sentencing hearing, right?
Jury trial scheduled for June 16th in Superior Court of California.
Okay. Great. Cool. So that means it's more likely to be sooner rather than later. There was a concern just because of the nature of the California court system.
For sure.
This might take a little bit longer.
So let's just say
the NFL would never drop a suspension if there's a chance that like he is found not guilty by jury trial and then he's like suspended by they would never do that. They'll wait until they know what the result of the trial, if there's a plea or whatever it is.
We're early in the season, and I would not mind it if it was early in the season, but I would prefer it to happen in kind of this 3-game stretch where you've got the Cowboys and the Giants, and I don't know if it's either the Lions or the Commanders, because by then you'll have a better understanding of what the rest of your receiver group looks like. And if it's a young guy, if it's like Ty Felton, right, which probably not based off of our opinions of Ty Felton, but if it is a young guy, if it is Ty Felton, they'll have had more time to develop as a player. So I would
to have that wide receiver 3 set up. Yeah.
So I kind of prefer it a little bit later.
How much does it change just your overall outlook? Again, we're talking about a wide receiver 2 here, but again, one of the better wide receiver 2s so far in his career, the last couple of years in this offense. How much does it change your outlook on like weeks 1 and 2, right? Like we already talked about week 1, possible upset there. Like maybe that's a loss right there at that wouldn't even be an upset. They're 1.5 point. They're getting 1.5 points, excuse me, in Soldier Field. But how much would that change? Like, man, now we got to go in with this offense, with obviously JJ getting doubled, if not triple covered every play. And then Jalen Naylor and Ty Felton out there. Obviously, you got Hawkinson in your running game, but how much, I guess, does it move the needle the wrong direction when you think about the matchup versus the Bears and Soldier and at least the Falcons at home in week 2 as well?
Gervon Dexter's still going to start, right? I'm running the ball every play. We saw what Will Fries and Ryan Kelly did to that man when they were in the Colts last year.
Jordan Mason, 33 touch game coming.
Yeah. And then I don't know. This is actually a pretty good stretch to have to rely on the run game with Atlanta, a bunch of rookies up front and whatever in the middle, and then Cincinnati's defense. God knows what's happening there.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I picked the Bears as the upset game in part because I had to pick an upset. But I mean, the Bears, while they do have a good number of people in their secondary, I'm just not as okay, they're going to double JJ. That's fine. He's used to that. He's, by my data, the most doubled receiver in the league, and he was still the most productive after you account for penalties. Okay, great, double him. I don't care. He'll be fine. But that's the only game that I think it has a huge impact, right? Because the concern with the Bengals game is not the defense. It's not the Bengals defense, right? It's the Bengals offense. And obviously there's a push and pull. You have to catch up with that offense. But I don't think it'll be particularly difficult to score on that Bengals defense if you only have Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson and a good offensive line. Oh no, they'll figure it out, right? They'll score points. You really just
if losing Jordan Addison,
pressure on Burrow.
Good point there. If losing Jordan Addison is the difference between being able to put up 4 or 5 touchdowns versus 2, I mean that there's bigger issues, I guess, going on in the offense. As a whole, big picture. Have you guys looked at the Lions schedule and more specifically their road schedule? It is crazy. Pull it up if you can here. I'll start reading it off. Obviously at Lambeau, at Soldier, at US Bank, at Baltimore, at Cincinnati, at Kansas City.
The opposite of us.
Yeah, the opposite. So those are their 3 outside of at Lambeau week 1. Those are their first 3 road games: at Baltimore, at Cincy, at KC, and then they
also have at Washington and at Philadelphia.
Correct.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Correct.
Wow.
And then at LA. I mean, seriously. Okay, say you win 2 division games, 2 out of your 3 on the road. Do they win more than 4 games on the road this year? I mean, that nonetheless, it's the Lions. I'm sure they'll find a way, right, to be ultra competitive and win more games than we think. I'm interested to see what some of the spreads will be week to week on these. But
it would be a real shame if their quarterback had some kind of crazy home road split. Would hate to see that.
Who, Hendon? Hendon?
You talking about
Hendon going to make the team? I'm really asking.
No, I know you are, and I don't have an answer yet.
I'll get back to you.
Dude, I mean, again, everybody in the NFC North, when you talk about strength of schedule, it's all tough. I mean, we all pulled the AFC North, and obviously Detroit winning the division. They're playing other teams that won the division, got first place as well, but that's a gauntlet, man. I mean, again, forget about the division games. At Lamar, at Joe Burrow, at Patrick Mahomes, at Jaden Daniels, and then at the Super Bowl champs. Those are your first 5 road games outside of at Lambeau, which even, at Lambeau is always tough as well, obviously, just like at US Bank should be competitive as well. Pretty crazy. Expecting Ron Johnson here any minute. Let's go to our first quick ad break, and then hopefully we'll get Ron Johnson in here, get his 2 cents on the 2025 Vikings schedule as well. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, an official partner of the NFL. Right now, FanDuel is giving you a chance at a huge return, $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. Why I love FanDuel? When you get the hunch in the middle of the game, you can go check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play, all on the same page where you place your bets. Again, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. Go check it all out over at FanDuel.com. Get in some NFL future action while you're there. Vikings win total set right now at 8.5 wins, over or under. It's all sitting up over at FanDuel.com. Again, check it all out over at FanDuel.com and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. As we wait for Ron Johnson to come on in here, host with Ron Johnson each and every Tuesday, was there one or two NFL games, like non-Vikings games, that jumped out to you that you kind of circled on the back of your mind? I always love Bills Chiefs. I mean, everybody does, so I'm not like going on a limb, but that's always like one of the few non-Vikings games that like I try to make sure I got my schedule cleared that Sunday or whenever the game ends up kicking off, and making sure I can just sit down and focus on that game. Was there any other non-Vikings or obviously NFL games that kind of jumped out?
I mean, the Brazil game, Chargers Chiefs. That,
oh, right.
Yeah.
Always a banger.
Yeah, that's going to be great. And then also the Commanders Madrid game. I'm really excited about that Madrid. So they're playing the Dolphins. I don't know like how good the Dolphins will be. I feel like there's some open questions, but if they're healthy, I feel like the Dolphins have the potential to be explosive. Either way, the first game in Spain, as far as I'm aware. And I don't know if you've been to both an English soccer game and a Spanish soccer game in Spain, but it is a completely different atmosphere. I love it. I love the Spanish soccer atmosphere. It rules. And so I'm excited to see what kind of fireworks kind of emerge from a Commanders Dolphins game, and then also that occurring inside that atmosphere. I think is going to be really, really special. So those are the two that stood out to me. I guess it's kind of hacky to pick two international games, but
they are pretty cool.
It's going to be prime time, right?
You're not picking
we're not going to see the Nooners. We're watching the Vikings, except for I guess 7 weeks of the season where we're not. How about week 3? Lions, Ravens, Monday Night Football.
Oh,
got to be a banger, right?
Yeah, that's going to be a banger.
That's going to be good.
Yeah, and that's in Baltimore too, right? I just said that.
In Baltimore.
Right? In Baltimore.
Either a banger, or I would love if that turned into a nice little hate watch, a little road meltdown for the Lions.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson decides to go crazy, they lose Ben Johnson.
It's either a good game or good game.
Yeah. Or GG's.
Whatever register you're at, whatever tone you're at.
Yeah.
Either way, though. Good game.
So there's one other schedule thing I wanted to mention. 4 games against 2024 quarterbacks. We're gonna have some narratives right off the bat.
That's a good
Caleb
point.
Williams and Michael Penix 1-2. We're gonna have some narratives.
Bang right out the gate. Yeah, good point there. Yeah.
Schedule. So unless we don't run yet, schedule release videos.
Yeah, no run yet.
I haven't been able to watch all of them. Right. In fact, I haven't watched most of them, but I of course took the time to watch the Chargers one. Outstanding work, I think, as always. I don't know if you watched it.
I did.
One of the 2 Minecraft ones, except now it's one of the 1 Minecraft ones because the Colts.
What was the story?
Schedule release.
I never watched the Colts
Apparently,
one.
they disparaged Tyreek Hill in a way that.
Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of surprised.
Stick by that, man. Everybody's behind you on that.
So wait a minute. Did they get embarrassed and like get backlash, and they're like, "We should delete this," or did they get forced?
So let me just
to
tell
delete
you, Luke. I'm in the middle.
Tell
of
me, dude. Like we're waiting.
And then he freezes. Beautiful.
Oh, then he froze. Classic, dude. Classic. So it's a Tyreek Hill thing, though.
That's
apparently.
hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, there was like a statement that was like, "We apologize to Tyreek Hill for this." So I don't know.
All right, you're back.
Sorry. So they released a Minecraft video. It's a worse Minecraft video than the Chargers one. That's true. But like you've already mentioned, they have Tyreek Hill as a dolphin.
Man.
They show him getting arrested by the Coast Guard, right? Which I honestly think that if they hadn't deleted and just kept it up and did not apologize, they actually would have been better off. I think they lent it more gravity by immediately deleting it and then apologizing to him. Yeah. But on top of that, they did not get permission from Microsoft like the Chargers did. The Chargers went out and got permission
That's kind
from
of like
Microsoft.
a big...
Oh, the Colts are such a beautiful tragedy.
Yeah, and so, which is crazy because I think in the end user license agreement for Minecraft, there's a very broad, like unlike other video games, there's very broad exceptions for you to use Minecraft content.
A lot of wiggle room
videos
there.
And streams. Yeah, it's like in the terms of service that you're allowed to like stream and stuff like that, which most video games don't have. They just allow streamers to do it. Minecraft explicitly allows you to do it. So the fact that they found a way to violate a very generous terms of service with Minecraft is surprising to me. I don't know, but I guess they didn't get permission from Microsoft to do it, where the Chargers did. And they have this thing with Tyreek. Also, at one point, they're spray painting a wall in Germany, which I don't love that. But that wasn't mentioned in their reasons for deletion, so I guess that didn't.
Is it clear which side of Germany they're on?
I think they're on the western side of the Berlin Wall, but I can't because first of all, this video has a lot less attention to detail than the Chargers one, so I don't know. But there's no other graffiti on the wall. They just spray paint the Colts logo as graffiti on the Berlin Wall.
Okay.
And I don't know that that's necessarily an awful thing, but it is an eyebrow raising.
Well,
thing.
if that was the only thing,
feedback on
people
that.
probably wouldn't really, give too much. But the fact that there's like two other monster things as well, it's just like, hey, here's a little bit more fuel for the fire as well, I feel like. And the social media team was probably like, hey, are we going to get in trouble for this? Should
Well, yeah,
somebody
so,
come?
like-
And Jim Irsay was like, I know a guy. It's fine.
I'm
just
so
do it.
confused.
Publish it.
Like they deleted it right away, which would suggest that no one reviewed it beforehand.
Doesn't make any sense.
Which I've never heard of in my life.
That's why
Like,
I
when did
initially thought that they
yeah.
were forced to delete it. Because, like, why would they backtrack all of a sudden?
Do you
Yeah,
think Jim
no, they
Irsay
knew what
saw
you
it for
were
the
getting
first time and was like, maybe don't do that?
Oh, my God.
Jesus Christ, dude. So I like the Chargers video as always. I'm having a lot of difficulty with some of these release videos. So the Vikings release video was good. I really like the tattoo designs in it.
It was cute.
The ones that are like the Ravens and the Seahawks, their release videos don't give you the teams that they're playing in order. And the Ravens one has too much skit. Too much. Like it's a Severance thing. They do basically the first season of Severance.
Which I respect. I respect the idea. I respect
like the
that you
swing.
went for it.
I like
Yeah.
the aesthetic
I like
of the Seahawks one a lot. I did not realize that was not in order. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's so frustrating. The Patriots one isn't in order, and I thought they had a lot of potential. They do like this egg drop thing where Joshua Dobbs judges everyone's little science experiment, which is really funny. Yeah, it's really cute. But they only have 4 Patriots doing it, and so they do an egg drop, and they each represent like 1/4 of the schedule for the egg drop, and it's not in order. And it's not like it's just whoever drops first is like they just talk about those teams first or whatever. I hate it. I don't need to know what teams you're playing. I already know. We've known for months. The thing is when you're playing them. And so both the Ravens and the Seahawks and also the Patriots have the schedule pop up at the end of the video in order, and it's like I don't need that. Why are you telling me week 4 and then week 11? This is obscene.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks don't even tell you what week. They just tell you the teams.
I do want to shout out the Titans for being the meanest one. That's what I'm after. You know, I love
haven't
the
watched that
Chargers
one yet.
Minecraft thing.
Okay.
Pulled the punches, I thought, a little bit. Not nearly as savage. But the Titans
They set a high bar for themselves based off of previous years, for what it's worth.
for sure.
yeah,
But
they're up there.
and I think that
They
expectation
mostly
is
reserved it for the Raiders, which was good. But
yes, the QR code bit, always a classic. Love it. But the Titans equating the Colts to hand, foot, and mouth disease,
that was
unbelievable.
good. Yeah, that was
Unbelievable.
good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
very
Can I
good.
just go back to the Tyreek Hill
I don't know
thing?
if you saw it, Luke. It was like a
I haven't
fake
seen it yet.
prescription ad.
It was like
Oh,
a
it's great.
medicine
So
commercial, and it's like
so
side
when they
effects may
list-
include, and then
Yeah, when they list the side effects, it's like
Fantastic.
every single team, and the Browns were diarrhea. Like it was great.
yeah,
That's fantastic. Back to the Tyreek Hill thing. I just feel like if you were to ask Tyreek Hill how he felt about that, what the Colts did, I feel like he would laugh.
he said it was funny. He already publicly was like, I don't know, I
He-
thought it was kind of funny. Like he didn't care.
Yeah, like again, it was worse to immediately delete and apologize
Right.
than it was to make the video. Like they just made it worse.
Let's bring in
Ron.
Ron Johnson, host of the Ron Johnson Show, each and every Tuesday. Give him a follow if you haven't already on X at @Ron Johnson. Ron, let's start here. Ron, you were one of the very first people to get this schedule, the Viking schedule. You're at TCO, I know, recording with VEN, Tatum Everett, the whole crew. Go check that out up on Vikings.com if you haven't already. What was your number one takeaway when you laid eyes on this lineup, on this schedule? The top of the top, kind of a topic for you when it came to the Vikings 2025 schedule. What was it?
So humble brag. My first initial reaction was watching Kevin O'Connell react. That was the best.
Oh, that's cool.
Right.
That's fun.
The second best thing ever, like in my sports career. Like this was actually pretty cool. I'm standing in the hallway, because I told you, Luke, like on the show, that hey, if I have to leave, I have to go in the hallway because the Vikings don't want me near a camera with the schedule.
No spoilers. Yep.
Skip Kruger, Vikings, one of the VPs of VN, he made a joke. He knew I wouldn't do it though, but he's like, hey, just make sure Ron doesn't tweet this out before 7:00. And so I'm standing in the hallway. Keenan McCardell comes walking by. And he's like, yo, you got a suit on. You about to be on TV? I'm like, yeah, I'm about to do the schedule. He's like, who we play first? So I was the first person to tell Keenan McCardell the schedule. So that was actually cool. So Keenan and I were standing
that's
there.
Fantastic.
He's like going through the schedule. Then here comes Blake Cashman. He's asking me. Then I got CJ Ham walks over.
You were the popular kid in the hallway.
Yeah, bringing
me
class. Yeah.
Aaron
That's
Jones
awesome.
comes over there. And then,
Oh, man.
Ambry Thomas, former 49er. He's my guy from Detroit. Kobe King. I talk for, and I will say this though: Kobe King, Ambry Thomas, Isaiah Rodgers, Blake Cashman. Even I didn't talk to them about the schedule. The only person was like CJ Ham and Aaron Jones because they were standing by Keenan McCardell when he was like asking me, like, man, we got primetime back to back. Man, that's cool. And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, it's a youth movement, man. They want to see JJ. They want to see. What's his name? Caleb Williams. I'm like, then they want to turn around and show you guys
Caleb, I don't know.
So,
Caleb something? I don't know.
Caleb something, I just was like, my biggest reaction was with the number of primetime games the Vikings got, it felt like a real youth movement of quarterback. Like
for
it felt
sure.
Like we want to get these younger guys on TV. We want to make sure these younger guys, are pushed out because honestly, like the NBA, LeBron James, Steph Curry, a lot of these guys are on their way out the door. It's time
passing
for
the torch.
Edwards. Yeah, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Anthony Edwards. Like, I think that's, Tyrese Halliburton. I think it's the same thing with the NFL. I think they're like, look, if J.J. McCarthy is what we think he is, let's get him on TV. Let's show the world what he is. Let's get him before everybody else finds out. And, you're going to get Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy, quote, unquote, the number one pick from that year and the, quote, unquote, best rookie first-year quarterback from this year because J.J. McCarthy is going to be the best first-year quarterback by what everybody's standards thinks this year. So I think that was a cool one to get back-to-back. But my tweet yesterday or the day before yesterday was dead on. I was like, the first game is going to be home on the road, but either way, 2 and 3 are going to be at home, and then they're going to have 2 international, then the bye, and then I was like, then they're going to kick it off with a big-time opponent, whether it's a primetime Super Bowl, but it ended up being, it worked out. It ended up being the Eagles. I thought it was going to be the Falcons because of, again, young quarterback, but, you got the Eagles.
You do get JJ and Penix, too, week 2, to follow up the JJ versus Caleb show as well.
Yeah, the Falcons got a lot of primetime games. I don't know if you saw the Falcons schedule, but they got a lot of primetime games.
Interesting.
Wow.
They're pushing, like I said, they're pushing
the narrative. That goes to your point more, Ron, then. Yeah.
I think they're really pushing this, and it's on Vikings.com, so I'm not making this up, but that's what I said because when we do the show, they give me the schedule, but then they say, okay, don't think about it, which I'm like, how can I not think about it? Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm supposed to.
Right.
So I looked at the schedule.
Don't think of an elephant, right?
Yeah, don't think about it. And so I looked at the schedule. I gave them my predictions, my first reaction predictions, and I went back with Luke in the group and I finished the show. And then I go back and I sit down and I do a re-reaction of like, okay, now after thinking about it. And so they kind of use both. They kind of like, here's your initial and then here's your re-reaction. And, it was just interesting to me. That's the first thing I caught because I looked at some of the other schedules. I'm like, man, they're really pushing these youth quarterbacks on us. Like, and it's dollars though. You know what I mean? Like if you no longer have Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, like what do you do? Kirk Cousins is kind of on his way out the door. Aaron Rodgers is out the door. Well, he might be back if Bruno Mars and the Steelers leave the door open for him, but that's the biggest thing with this is I feel like they're trying to really sell these youth quarterbacks to us so that now we create, and not us, we're old, we're done. Like my guys are always going to be the old guys. I'm gonna be like the guys that love Fran Tarkenton, those Vikings fans that, like that's gonna be me. But for the new generation of football fan,
Right.
It's to get them to like latch on to JJ McCarthy.
We're trying to find the next Fortnite skin is what's happening. Yeah.
Exactly.
I gotta ask before I kick it over to Luke. What was KOC's just initial reaction? Was it like the draft room, like when they drafted Dallas Turner and moved up? Like, oh
No,
really?
it was truly the primetime stuff. Like
Okay.
even and then Christmas,
Yeah.
And then I skipped over and I was like, hey, KLC, how's your golf game? And he's like, yeah, man, not going so good. I'm just hitting it hard though. So we kind of stopped talking about the schedule, but like it was cool to just see some like humans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these humans,
Real people.
They gotta
people.
plan out their next whatever, through December, February, they got to plan out their life. And so it was kind of interesting to watch that all like Brian O'Neill's face was kind of like, oh, okay, we're on TV, like and then there's 7 games that the Vikings are the only team on at that time because they have like a 325. They have, so they are really getting pushed into this 7 games. Everybody in the world's going to watch. Can JJ McCarthy do what Justin Jefferson and Sam Darnold did last year? Can TJ Hawkinson be the star that he is?
Mm-hmm.
Brian Flores' defense, and again, I forgot Ambry Thomas was a starter for the 49ers. His injury was an arm thing. It wasn't a leg, a foot, an ankle, so his legs are fine. So
yeah, you tweeted about him like earlier today. You were like, hey, he might be the 3rd cornerback.
He might be the 3rd. Him and Isaiah Rodgers are 1 and 2 right now on that outside corner spot. Jeff Okuda's in that room with them. Byron Murphy, we know, was there. But, like, again, it's an arm. It's not a leg. And so he broke his broke a bone in his whatever this is, the ulnar radius.
Or whatever.
Yeah. And so he has a scar. He had it healed up, it's healed up. He said he's 100% ready to go. So his legs work. So he can run, he can cover, he can do everything he's been doing. The biggest thing now is like him. It's not
Forrest Gump.
It's not an
ACL.
It's not an ACL. It's not a broken ankle. It's not an ACL. It's not an MCL. It's not a PC. Because like when it's those injuries, you see TJ Hawkinson on the other field for weeks. You know what I mean? Like Ambry is about to be out there from day one with these guys playing. In that spot, and maybe Isaiah Rodgers goes to the slot. Maybe Byron Murphy travels to the slot, but Ambry is going to be right now, at least in that top 3. Sorry, I hit the wrong button on my car. But he's going to be in the top 3. And I thought about that. I'm like, man, like he did it with a Super Bowl caliber 49ers defense. And so I think the Vikings might have found another injured diamond in the rough. You know what I mean? Like they got him off of injury. He got released because of injury. So, that's Kwesi buying low and having a chance to sell it high. So I really think the NFL wants to see this defense. And then even Kobe King, man, watching him next to Blake Cashman. Just wait.
Be fun. That's
just wait.
Yeah, that sounds fun. That
his
sounds
size
fun.
alone, man, like he's built like a wall. Like he is physically
thumper.
Like, when you think about Gorilla versus 100, like Kobe King has got to be in that conversation to be one of your 100. Like he is built, like his neck is, he's got like the big neck, big traps. Like
linebacker neck.
That Takeo Spikes look going on, right?
All right.
A natural cowboy collar.
Within like me and Kobe probably talked for about 7 to 10 minutes before he had to go lift. Within that time, Brian Flores walked by and said he's a guy. Keenan McCardell, when he found out he was from my high school or from Detroit, my area, Keenan McCardell was like, oh yeah, that's me. Josh McCown was talking about him, like. So I feel like they like, like they all were saying it, like, yeah, we got him in that spot. So, I think he's going to be a guy, like I said, next to, you look at, I think it's him, Cashman, Ivan Pace right now. Cause I asked him like, where are you at? And he's like, I'm right in there with these guys. So, Brian Asamoah, I don't know where he's at in that mix, but yeah, it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. A couple low risk, high reward guys they brought in for sure. When you think about the draft capital and then also just the money to get Ambry Thomas over here as well. I want to say real quick, Brian O'Neill, we got up on VEN, Vikings.com. You can check it out, 3-minute video. He said loves playing on holidays because we got to practice anyways on holidays. We might as well just play the game. So he was pumped to see. He was pumped to see that Christmas. He was pumped to see that Christmas game on Netflix.
Luke Brown, then you get to see your family right after. So that's
then you get to see the family will be in town, everything else. Luke Brown, what do you got for Ron?
To either congratulate or comfort you.
Hopefully, the problem was going to be is if they lose on Christmas Day to the Lions.
I know.
Like kids are gonna be so sad opening their gifts at 9 p.m. Like Like
Look,
that's gonna be such a sad.
Kids aren't waiting, okay? Kids aren't
gonna
waiting.
be-
Kids aren't
It's gonna
watching.
be like,
Let's
remember
be
that,
honest
have you seen
here.
that video of that girl dancing, crying, and she's still trying to do her
Oh
TikTok?
yeah, the sorority girl or whatever
right.
it is. Like
The little
yeah.
kid, the little
Why are
kid
you
that
so
got
obsessed
punished,
with
and
me?
so his
Yeah,
mom,
yeah.
his mom was making him dance in the kitchen. Like, oh, you
Oh,
want to dance in school? Dance right now. And he's like crying tears, and he's still doing the dance, the Fortnite dance. Like that's gonna be kids. They're gonna be crying, but they're gonna be. I got a PS4
with their new JJ,
Yeah.
JJ jerseys,
I got a
doing the
Microsoft
gritty
Right, yeah.
crying.
They're gonna be
Yeah.
crying,
Yeah.
like.
Well, now I've got a reason to log on to TikTok on Christmas. That's great.
There you go. Yeah, Luke, what do you got for
can't
fun?
wait.
Yeah, Seth Wickersham releases a new book. In it, Caleb Williams and his father talk about wanting to play for the Vikings and being kind of disappointed to be a Bear. Is there a schism in Chicago?
No schism. I think this is before the Ben Johnson era.
This was during the draft, yeah.
Yeah, I think Ben Johnson, the biggest thing with Ben Johnson and getting some of those draft picks and guys, I haven't actually seen this, if this is real, but if that is real, because I don't believe half the stuff people tweet out, and I'm not going to bash anybody from any other networks, but we know there's some people that love to say they have sources and they don't really have sources, and then they try to put out a story, and then they try.
It's Seth Wickersham.
It's Seth Wickersham. He's
yeah.
legit. Trust me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
If that's true, I think this is what I think. I don't think it's a schism in Chicago. I think that's a nod to KLC, to be honest. Like when you look at the Pasternak, you look at Sam Darnold, I think a lot of people really are loving what KLC is doing. And I'm not gonna say the player I talked to, but he was talking about figuring out offenses and defenses and talking stuff. And he's like, man, this Vikings offense is literally like Sean McVay mixed with, and I'm not going to give out any secrets. And he's like, I know exactly what this offense is. And I'm like, man, that's cool. So that's the cool part about this, man. And I mean, I got a lot of other stuff that I want to eventually, maybe next week I'll drop some stuff on you guys, because there was so many vindicating moments yesterday with the players. We talked about the Lions games last year and that red zone stuff. Oh my God. So coaches, everybody was like, yeah, that was that. Because people, I will say, Sam Darnold did not make a mistake in the red zone. For people that think it was Sam Darnold's fault, that has nothing to do with what we've been talking about. But I asked that question.
Interesting.
All those plays were truly double move plays. That was not Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold held the ball because that was the play call.
Because they were all double move plays.
They were all double move plays.
Interesting.
Curious.
Kevin 07 on got away from himself again, huh?
Yeah.
So everybody tried to say Sam should have thrown the slant. He should have shown the flat route. And that wasn't the play. And so that was the thing. And yeah,
there's a lot of reason to trust that, because why defend a player that doesn't play for you anymore? I think that's probably true. Right?
It would be so easy to be like, yeah,
no
man,
way they're
that's
running
why we let him go.
Right.
Oh,
He's the problem, not me.
The mindset that these players have about facing Detroit: run the ball down their throat, throw the ball man to man because they can't beat us. That's the mindset now. Because you know what I mean? I think it became let's try to trick the Lions and do what Ben Johnson does.
Yeah.
And you don't need to do that. You are better than them physically.
Play fire with fire kind of thing.
Correct.
Yeah. Do your own thing.
Better than them offensively. Just run and Aaron Jones was like, man, that's why I'm so happy to be back as a Viking. Because I told him, I was like, man, when he signed, I was like, man, I'm glad you're back. He's like, man, I'm glad to be back. And he's like, that was the one thing I was hoping, that I didn't have to find a new home. And so again, you think about, and then CJ Ham joked about the whole, I think with the Falcons said they're bringing or Lori said they're bringing the fullback back, or whoever said that. CJ Ham was like, I didn't know we were gone. He's like,
I didn't know we ever left.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the one thing though. Sam Darnold, those plays.
Interesting.
He read them exactly how they're supposed to be read. The Lions just played better.
That's kind of juicy info right there. Probably a big reason too why they put such an importance on going to get a guy like Jordan Mason as well. Just for those Lions matchups.
And the offensive line emphasis, they're not going to stop doing this. They're just trying to protect it now.
Right.
Yeah.
Run the ball.
Yeah,
You got some big hogs up front. You got Donovan Jackson now. You got Will Freeze. You got Kelly.
The hog mollies.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ron, I wanted to ask a little bit about the schedule release videos, because I don't know how involved you were with the tattoo idea, which I thought was really phenomenal, really fun, cute tattoos. What's
Ron, do you have a Viking tattoo, by the way? Any tattoos?
No, none. If I ever get a tattoo, it's gonna be because somebody close to me passes away or something. And I've been thinking
until then you got your modeling career to
I've been thinking about getting one
priorities
with my dad or something, maybe on my shoulder where nobody can see it or something. But I haven't, I haven't had the courage to do that yet.
Yeah.
But no, but I was standing there when the interviews happened and I was sworn to secrecy, like I couldn't say anything. But yeah, they were gonna ask me because the cheerleader doing the interview, she was standing by our Fox set at the draft. If you go back and watch some of the clips, we're right behind her. And so when I stepped down, I was just joking. I was like, "Hey, can I go next?" And she's like, "Would you do it?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." And so,
Hey, can I go?
They
No,
will
I don't want-
100% would have given you a tattoo if you wanted it.
oh, I know they would have. That would have probably been like one of the bigger moments to like maybe have me like on set with a suit. I take my suit off and then I get a. No, I'm not getting a tattoo. I will say this though, as a Detroit kid, I wouldn't mind a Lions tattoo, but I also don't like the Lions. But like growing up, a Steelers kid,
Yeah.
I just didn't like the Steelers logo. Like the steel, breaking
the stuff.
steel. Like that wasn't for me. Like if it was an actual like
Right.
Steelers logo, maybe I could have done that and then put my dad's
With like
number.
horns on it, maybe.
Yeah, with my dad's
Oh,
number, maybe,
yeah.
and his name, with the Steelers.
Like the circle
logo.
with the hypocycloids or whatever
Yeah,
they're called.
and then go back and like add personal stuff to it once they get the
Super
shot.
Bowl,
For the...
Super Bowl,
Yeah.
5-time Super Bowl champions or something under that. I know the Vikings wouldn't want to do that part of it, but
rough. Okay,
relax.
Chill, relax.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I was standing there when she was asking those questions because they were kind of off to the side to kind
Yeah.
of keep it on, keep it under wraps or whatever. And she was like, "Do you want to go next?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, no, I'm good. I was like, "You guys have your fun. I'm good." But it was fun to watch. Like the fans were absolutely nuts. Like security was standing over there too because I think they were trying to keep people who weren't involved away. Because there were those weirdos that love to just come over near cameras. So, but it was cool to see. I really honestly, so I didn't think they were gonna do it. And I did hear the bleed. I thought it was gonna be at first I thought it was gonna be some kind of like Gatorade bit where they're gonna bleed purple and gold, where like they'd have Gatorade and John Randall would knock it out of them. And that was I thought it was gonna be like, well, remember linebacker, offensive
Yeah.
linebacker?
Yeah, offensive linebacker John Randall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been good.
That's right. That's what we were.
John
That's
Randall
originally
would've
what we
gone
were
so
thinking.
off.
Fantastic.
So our original thought when we heard bleed purple and gold, we were thinking, or purple and whatever. Yeah, purple and gold. We were thinking like, okay, are they gonna get hit by John Randall? And so we weren't sure what they were gonna do. And then when I started seeing the pictures, I'm like, oh shoot. I'm like, there's no way they're gonna do this. And those people really did it. I was like, okay.
Well, like at least it wasn't like because like the bear tattoo was like a little teddy bear. It was nice. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't
that's not bad.
So like that's
Yeah.
what I like about it, that it wasn't like the team logos, but it was
Right.
related to the team that would be on the.
How about the
schedule. And they
cheese
looked really
grater
nice.
for,
Yeah, I'm not
for the
getting a cheese
Packers?
grater.
I'm not
Yeah.
getting a cheese grater.
Easy
on my
one,
arm.
easy one.
I'm not getting a cheese grater on my arm.
Yeah.
I'll do it on my face. I'm not going to get it on
Here's
my
the
arm.
thing. So the Vikings today, for
Not
those
weird.
watching live, I don't know if you know, but they're giving out free tattoos if you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah,
I
you
saw
can
that.
you can go be
Yeah,
a part
by
of
the
it if
way,
you want.
Free
Are
tattoo.
Yeah,
any,
super cool.
well, I know Luke can't, but Luke and Arif, are you gonna go get tatted for free?
Probably not, but I like having that option.
What's the over under? Like, do you
Dude.
think over
Dude.
500 people?
By the end of my life, I will probably have a couple of tattoos. But right
No,
now,
I'm saying today. What's the over under on the free bit? Do you think like what? Do you
Oh,
think?
how many people? How
Oh,
many?
how
people?
many people?
Yeah, 100 people.
Oh, yeah, I'd
I
say
bet they
about
get
I'd say about
100
40 to
people.
40 to 50 at least.
40 to 50. Okay, I'm gonna set the over.
I mean, tattoos aren't cheap, dude. So like to get them for
65.
free,
Yeah.
65 is my over under.
that's a big value alone.
Yeah,
so
I'm
you
gonna-
get some
I'm gonna
people
go-
who already are into tattoos. They already got 7, 8. Sure, throw one more on there for free. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, that's what I wonder how many people are gonna show up.
But the thing is, those people who have a lot of tattoos like trust their artist and their tattooing.
Correct,
Like so
yeah.
that's
Oh,
that's
true.
the other thing you
Yeah.
have to keep in mind
Yeah.
is they don't know.
But fandom is crazy. Like people go,
Right.
Yeah.
people show up
Yeah.
for like Viking stuff.
No, I know.
I-
So
I-
that's
I-
why I set it at 65 because it takes time to do the tattoos too. So like I don't know.
Yeah, I
If
don't
you
know.
watch-
Time they'll
if
have
you
to.
watch the Vikings training camp, like fans versus like some of these other teams, it's unmatched.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Like it gets
No,
so
diehards.
crowded at Vikings training camp, which is awesome. And I feel, but I feel like there's people that like would maybe get a tattoo like once or twice in their life. And they're probably going to wait for it like you, Ron, and be a little more special. And then there's people who get tattoos all the time and who probably
Right.
have a guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. I told my wife when the Vikings win the Super Bowl, whoever the quarterback is, I'm getting their first name tattooed on my butt cheek in cursive. So this
Right.
originally started in 2009. It was going to be Brett, right? It was going to be
It
Brett.
was gonna be Brett.
And
Brett.
and
Who was
then
it- who's
and then it was
Brett,
almost
buddy?
Case, and then it was almost Case, which I wasn't loving at the time, but I'll take it. And so far,
be
obviously,
Ace on your butt, dog.
so far, yeah, so
it's
far,
gonna be
I mean,
JJ.
that was. Yeah, now it'll be
There you
JJ.
That would be the
Maybe JJ.
weirdest conversation to have to tell a man I got your name on my butt.
Walking through the lifetime shower after 5
Like,
on 5
hey,
with your Ron.
JJ, I got something I need you to see.
I'm comfortable with it. Hey, Vikings win a Super Bowl. I'm comfortable with it. I also made a bet with my wife that when the Vikings win a Super Bowl, we can get a cat as well, and that's been going on for about 8 years now. So, yeah, hopefully,
So mean, dude.
hopefully. Well, it's a
luck.
win-win. If the Vikings win the Super Bowl, you can go do whatever you want. Go ahead. You want a cat? Sure, go get a cat. That's fine. So, that's fine.
Oh.
All right, Ron, we better get you out of here. Ron Johnson. Go check him out, by the way, up on VEN, Vikings.com, with Tatum Everett and everybody releasing the schedule. Really cool stuff. Ron called it, nailed a bunch of stuff per usual for primetime games, plus some other great stuff. Check him out on the Ron Johnson Show, obviously, each and every Tuesday, and give him a follow on X, @3 Ron Johnson.
I will ask the question to Arif and Luke, though. One of the questions you asked me, Luke, was over under primetime games or Andrew Van Ginkel touchdowns.
Yes.
I said over on the primetime games because I kind of had a feeling it was
Kind of knew.
Yeah.
Well,
had
there
I
you go.
known, had I known 4.
Yeah.
That's
How
it.
outstanding would it be if you were still wrong? How crazy would that
I
be?
know.
Yeah, I'm still going
Right.
Gink. Let's
So, right, so
let's
you're
make
saying
history.
Gink gets five touchdowns for Gink?
Yeah, come on, let's go.
Let's make history. Why not?
You should
I
tell him
said,
there's
like,
a lot
I
on the
said
line.
2
You
to-
should
I
tell
said
him
2
the
to
pressure's
3.
on.
I said 2 to 3 for Gink, and I said 4 to 5 for the Vikings. So I gotta go Vikings. But yeah, Gink. If Gink gets 5 or 6, then hey, we're in business.
We'll take
Pressure's
it.
on, Gink.
We'll take it. Ron, love it as always. Great stuff. We'll talk to you next week. Okay.
All right.
Later. Ron Johnson, host of the Ron
Full
Johnson
screen
Show.
We're
Host of
doing
the Ron
great.
Johnson
We're
Show. We're in the
killing
fourth
it.
quarter here. Guys, we're in the final 2-minute drill. We're in the final 2-minute drill, okay? But it's training camp. That's the problem. It's training camp, and we haven't done the full install yet, okay? So we're still working out the kinks.
Sure, sure.
One
bud.
more quick segment I got for you guys. What's more likely? I got 3 what's more likelies for you again on today's episode. That's all coming up right after a very, very quick ad break. All right, final segment here. I got a couple more. What's more likely? What did we do last time? Dance pop. Again, less is more here on this volume. Dance pop, but right there. That's the sweet spot. Vikings edition 2025. First one up. What's more likely? The Detroit Lions 2-year NFC North title streak comes to an end, or JJ McCarthy wins a game in 3 different countries this year. What's more likely?
Oh, I'm gonna go with JJ wins in 3 countries. I think that's more likely. I mean, the Lions don't have like a lock on that. You know, like, this is so distracting, Luke. they don't have a lock on the division or anything like that. But I just don't trust the Steelers and Browns. The Vikings also seem pretty comfortable with international travel. They also sent out an email about their international record. That was really good. They're like, hey, we're undefeated.
We're pretty good.
Going all the way back to that.
You're just begging to blow one, huh?
Yeah. So
they're just begging the NFL to move a team, and they're just got their hand raised up, like we can't lose. Maybe that's how we win the Super Bowl. Okay. Yeah. Luke, what do you think? Same thing?
Yeah.
Well, so parlaying 2 games together is essentially what that is, right? You win in Dublin, you win in London, and then
you're gonna win. You're gonna
presumably you're gonna win a game in the United
hopefully.
Yeah, well, so I guess you are parlaying 3 outcomes, but one of them's not going to move things a lot.
2 and 15.
But so parlay 2 games together, 2 games where, you know, call it close to even, but I think the Vikings will probably be favored in both of those by the time we play them. And you can say like, what, plus 300, plus 400? I would say the field in the NFC North is probably better than that.
Okay.
I feel like I'm with you. If I were to lean one way or the other, definitely. I'm with you guys. What's more likely? Next one up. What's more likely? Justin Jefferson has a 2,000-yard season, or Anthony Edwards leads the T-Wolves to their first NBA championship. Which one's more likely?
Oh man, I almost said Justin Jefferson before you finished the question. I'm really glad that I didn't go straight for that because I don't want to curse him. Oh no, yes I do. Reverse curse. Yeah, Justin Jefferson.
Absolutely, you RJ that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you on JJ?
So we've set up the
Going JJ. Lock it in.
Yeah, we set up the reverse jinx. Honestly, I think it might be more likely that Anthony Edwards leads the Wolves too. Like, it might actually be more likely, which is crazy to me.
He's in the Final Four.
I mean, yeah,
8 more games.
in the conference championship.
8 more games here. Come on.
Like, you know, I just saw the last couple of Wolves games. They can't die. They'll never die.
Yeah, let's go 8 and 6.
Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I think that is more likely, which is just a crazy thing to say. But also, like, the 2,000 yards is like, I think we got our closest chance a couple of years ago with JJ, which is not to say that like he's peaked or anything like that, but just in terms of the way production works and stuff like that. I don't know, like it'll still going to be a pass happy offense. I don't think there's any question about that, but I think the target distribution is going to be a little bit more diverse, and more importantly, I think you're still going to run the ball just a little bit more than you did, and I think that's going to be the difference. Is even though you're going to be in the top probably 8 in terms of pass attempts this year, regardless of how good you are in these specific games. I think that the number of pass attempts will go down rather than up in total, despite being a pass-happy offense. And so I think you're probably going to run the ball a little bit more. So I think more likely you're going to get Anthony Edwards.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, again, being in the Final Four as well, too. Back-to-back Western Conference championships. If you follow the Wolves at all, too, like they are set up kind of like the Vikings, where they're going to have, it's not just this year, one and done, push the chips all in, like the Rams getting Stafford and Jalen Ramsey. Like they're set up for a 3-4 year window now with all their young pieces and that kind of young core nucleus as well.
We have a comment from J Moles. I'm from New Jersey and a Knicks fan, hoping for a Knicks Timberwolves finals. First of all, insanely cursed vibes there just from the franchises. But also, like having Cat in the finals against the Wolves is wild to me.
It's the fact that we're sitting here on May 15th and this is still a possibility. Like you can't script this, dude. You can't write this any better so far.
That's so nuts, dude.
Ron was talking about the NFL pushing all the young quarterbacks. Like maybe the NBA is pushing this Cat and kind of revenge match.
Yeah, like the two Dante DiVincenzo against Jalen Brunson,
Julius Randle, like all of them. All of them.
Can I throw a basketball take out there? I think the NBA was pushing the Lakers and just didn't push it hard enough. I think they screwed it up. I think they wanted the Lakers real bad.
The NBA screwed up the rig. That's what happened.
Yeah, I think they blew it.
They made it up for it on the back end.
I was gonna say, and then they doubled down on the lottery. So
they wanted the Luka thing. They wanted Luka to be going hard, and then Dallas to get like they were doing a story, and I think they screwed it up.
Dude, there's about 2 or 3
too at the NBA.
Yeah,
there's about 2 or 3 teams, the Jazz and a couple other teams that got absolutely torched in that draft lottery. Just never absolutely torched. Last one. What's more likely, the Vikings sweep the AFC North this year, or JJ McCarthy starts his career 4-0 in primetime games? So primetime at Chicago, Atlanta at home, Chargers in LA Thursday night football, and Dallas Sunday night football. Bengals Ravens at home, Browns Steelers neutral site. So 0 true road games in that AFC North kind of gauntlet, so to speak.
Well, it's basically just it's the Ravens versus the Chargers, right? Like that's kind of what we're because like otherwise
the Bengals in there too, but
right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The Bengals are going to be tough. I mean, they were hurt, but
so I'll take.
I'm taking the primetime.
That's a rough set of parlays to compare to each other. I'm taking the primetime one. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm taking the primetime one. The 2 easier games, or the games I guess that figure to be easier, are Pittsburgh and Cleveland, and then they both have that international equalizer, unfamiliar territory. Yeah, neutral site, that does help. But weird stuff can happen overseas. Yep. So I feel like there's just a lot more variables, and the AFC North is just a stronger group of 4 teams than like one that has Dallas and Chicago in it.
Makes total sense. Now that we were talking about Anthony Edwards, my mind kind of went here. We had KG and Randy Moss here for years, 2 absolute legends, 2 icons in this state. Now we got JJ and Anthony Edwards. Globally, on a worldwide scale, JJ, I think, is definitely the more like well-known, more popular player. Kind of similar to how Randy Moss was over KG, again, on a national scale at the time.
On a national scale. Internationally, I would imagine that Anthony Edwards has more of a following.
Okay, that's fair because the NBA is so big. So you think it's actually a lot closer than what people think, if not even Ant globally is way more popular than JJ.
The NFL and the football marketing mechanism is much more comfortable putting up small players from small teams or small market teams into the national spotlight and highlighting them and talking about Justin Jefferson than the NBA is. I think the NBA would very much prefer. Like, they did not give, and Milwaukee's not like a quote-unquote small market, but they did not give Giannis that much shine, right? But they love, these guys, unless it's like a LeBron level, like you've got all of this hype coming from high school, and then he goes to Cleveland, and that's when you do it. But like for the most part, they love it when these big players play for these national market, franchise teams, and that's like much more important to them than it seems. And so it just feels like the marketing mechanisms that exist for both leagues are just going to put JJ into into a prime position to be marketed a little bit better. Plus, I think both are endlessly charismatic, right? But I think JJ's got a little bit of a marketing edge just because
personality wise.
Well, not just personality wise. That helps.
I think he's a little milquetoast. I think he's most of what we hear from him is going to be like pretty generic quarterback platitude stuff or weird motivational quotes.
I think he has a marketing edge because he already had a marketing edge. Like he's in Fortnite, right? Like that just helps. Like you have to put Ant into a position where JJ is and then move forward, whereas JJ already has that.
I think internationally, the Vikings are probably always going to be more popular than the Timberwolves, but yeah, Anthony Edwards is transcending that barrier of just being an NBA player to being like a celebrity that also plays basketball.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, guys. Huge shout out all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us too from show to show. After you're done with this episode, got to go check out Luke on Locked On Vikings each and every day. Reef always killing it over at the Wide Left Substack.
Weird stuff.
New organization added a bunch of new writers over to Wide Left Football. Check it out.
Love that. Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
And I took just watch the schedule episode.
Just watch. Just leave it at that. Perfect tease.
But violence happened to me. I'll put it that way. Violence happened to me.
Excellent.
Physical violence.
Oh.
Yep.
What a team.
You're going to want to
viewership
stunt violence. Something that you maybe would see in like a Charlie Chaplin film.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe. Help us get to 10,000 subscribers, by the way. We're super, super close. We'll catch you Monday for another episode. Same time, same place. Sam Ekstrom. Hopefully back in the captain's chair by then. But until then, signing out.